All right, the first innings of the first test between India and Australia, and a massive controversy. Where the Nagpur test is concerned, Australian media accuses Ravindra Jadeja of using an external substance on his fingers while bowling today. Australian media alleges ball tampering charges where Ravindra Jadeja is concerned. For the record, Jadeja was applying what the Indian team says, an ointment for soreness on his fingers, and is very much within the rules of the game. A debate has now erupted after what many experts from Australia calling a questionable moment. The first one to allege ball tampering by Ravindra Jadeja, who's come up with an exemplary performance in the first innings, was by former Australian Test captain Tim Paine, who took note and asked what was it that Ravindra Jadeja was doing ahead of one of his overs. He was joined later with Alex Carey and Peter Handscomb at the crease. Jadeja came in for his 16th over, and that is the time, viewers, when he seemingly applied something on his finger. Now, the Australian media is alleging, and of course, like I pointed out, the former Australian Test captain Tim Paine as well, that what Jadeja did was resort to ball tampering, where he used an ointment right before bowling. However, India has already countered that very strongly, saying he's always done it. Ravindra Jadeja has always done it, they are saying. And yes, you can go back to various visuals of matches, and those of you who follow cricket very closely would have noticed Ravindra Jadeja applying an ointment to his finger, which is to relieve soreness. He's not the only one to do it in the game. Many top bowlers from various countries resort to the same to ease the pain when they are bowling. However, that has been the Indian response. As of now, most Australian media is reporting this. Many are also suggesting in India that this is coming at the back of sour grapes, so losers, because India is doing exceedingly well and has closed day one with a great show. Now, to get you more Jadeja, that's the latest that we are getting in right now. An official response from the Indian cricket team has gone in with this is an ointment that Ravindra Jadeja uses to ease soreness to his fingers. Nikhil Naz and Rahul Rawat, my colleagues, join us for the very latest. Nikhil, take us through this entire controversy, especially at the time when India would be kicking back and celebrating a great show on day one, first innings.
Well, that's right, Preeti, and it's quite often whenever India does have a great show, some sort of controversy really comes, and the common factor is always the Australian team. It's happened before, they've poked the bear a few times before, and it's always backfired for them. Take a look at the 2008 series, the Monkey Gate, the infamous Monkey Gate. An Indian team came back, fought really well after that. The last series as well, there was a lot of controversy that was played here in 2017, brain fade and what have you. That backfired on the Australian team. I think this tour has been marred by controversy. It started, remember, Preeti, before on the eve of the test match, the biggest talking point wasn't whether Australia is a stronger team or India is the stronger team. The biggest talking point was the pitch. And the Australian media was up in arms saying that this is pitch tampering. India is making a pitch to their liking, and this is not within the spirit of the game. The ICC must look into it. The pitch played out perfectly today. The Australian team could not last very long against the some spirited Indian bowling. So what happens now? That spirited Indian bowler who's making a comeback after 5 months in Ravindra Jadeja is now questioned based on the images that you're showing on your screen right now. Let me tell you what happened. And Rahul also joins me and probably give you a sort of an insight as to what the Indian team management has said in Nagpur. Right. The visuals that you see are of Mohammad Siraj, the Indian bowler. He comes close to Ravindra Jadeja. This is around the 16th over and offers back of his hand there. Ravindra Jadeja picks something from there and then applies it on his finger and then starts bowling. Now, why would that have been done? Because remember, Mohammad Siraj fields on the boundary. if any sort of medicine has to be passed on, it is to be given to a fielder. He then comes and passes on to the bowler. Then the bowler would apply that, as we're getting to hear right now, that was an ointment. Remember, he's coming back after a 5-month break.
Yes.
So because of his pain, he's put that. Also, you mustn't forget, he played a Ranji Trophy match just before this game where he bowled 40 odd overs. So his finger being sore is not surprising at all. So he's applied that. Just one thing I'd like to point out before you go to Rahul, that at the moment, all these allegations have only come courtesy the Australian media. The Australian team management for the moment hasn't complained. And if they haven't complained, it's not something that the ICC or anyone else really needs to look at the moment.
Well, that was going to be my next question, but stay with me. Nikhil, I want to cut across to Rahul. Rahul, has the Indian team, the Indian management come out with a response on these alleged allegations that are only gaining steam in, say, Australian media and possibly ex-cricketers from Australia also adding to it?
Well, Preeti, I was there at the ground today. In fact, when everything, whatever we've mentioned so far, was happening, and after that, in fact, Jadeja had a splendid performance today. He came out for the press conference also. Thereafter, when we got to know about this story that the Australian media has picked up, I spoke to a few people within the team, and they clearly are unhappy. Why? Because it questions the integrity of a senior player like Ravindra Jadeja, who's very much aware of the rules of the game. Now, what they have told me is that since he was away from cricket for the last 5 months, so now suddenly he is asked to bowl a long spell. 22 overs he bowled. So there was some soreness on his finger, and he felt a bit of pain. So that ointment is a pain relief ointment. That is what he used, and there's nothing wrong with it. And he knows the rules of the game. It is just that the Australian media has always played the role of the 12th man of this Australian team. And for the past couple of days, not even past couple of days, yesterday, and the same media organization, it keeps raking up these controversial, issues. What has happened on the eve of the test match? They called this wicket a disgrace, where they were bundled out for 177, but the Indian openers, they didn't see any demons here. Now, this today in the morning, when Mohammad Siraj dismissed Usman Khwaja very early in the first over, what happened? The very same media organization said that there is some issue with the DRS, which is the Hawkeye, which tells you whether where the ball has pitched and its trajectory. By the way, this media organization is based out of UK, and the Hawkeye is maintained and operated by officials from that organization. These are Englishmen, by the way, and they are the ones who will travel anywhere and everywhere wherever this technology is being used. So to question Hawkeye it would be better if they would ask people in that organization in UK. Thirdly, as far as this issue is concerned, they've never had issues. In fact, three of the protagonists of one of the darkest period in Australian cricket, not too long ago, 5 years ago, Steve Smith, Peter Handscomb, and David Warner were banned from cricket. What happened there? Sandpaper Gate. They actually, they were found guilty of ball tampering. Then the ex or the former Australian captain who first picked up this story, Tim Payne, that you mentioned very early in this story, I don't know if I can use or I should use as the disgraced captain of the Australian team. He walked out of that dressing room after some of his text messages came out in the open, and Cricket Australia, they tried to hush up that entire controversy, and Tim Payne had to walk out of that dressing room and said, I want to take a break. I'm not feeling mentally, I'm not feeling well. So these are issues that the Australian media, and by the way, it's not that Australian media themselves, they come up with these stories. What happens usually that they the Australian media travel with the players and they give them these kind of
leaks,
newsy stuff.
Right. Well, Rahul, thank you for setting the record straight. And of course, we're not going to get into, washing Australia's dirty linen. We want to keep it straight. We're performing superbly well. And ultimately, Nikhil, I'll bring you in on this. For anyone who's looking at it and all the doubters out there, what is exactly ball tampering? The action that you see Ravindra Jadeja indulge in, are other bowlers also doing the same across, countries?
So Preeti, that's a very interesting question. Ball tampering is in any way if you're trying to alter the condition of the ball, whether you're doing it with your hands, that is using your nails and altering the seam of the ball, that would constitute as ball tampering, or if you're using an external substance. There have been occasions where players have used, uh, gummy bears. They've used some sort of toffees, cold toffees that they've used to rough off the surface, to make the lacquer really shine. Vaseline is another item that has been used previously to tamper the ball. So any which way, whether you're using an outside object or using your own hands to alter the condition of the ball, that would amount to ball tampering. Now, there have been occasions that that's happened. In this case, what you clearly see in the picture is that he takes that ointment and only applies to his finger. There is no direct contact of that ointment being rubbed onto the ball. Yes, doubters can argue that, listen, the ball does come in contact with the ball, and by that extension, that would amount to rubbing any sort of surface to the ball. But I don't think that would hold water. At the moment, since there is no direct contact of that ointment to the ball, and secondly, which is the most basic thing, Preeti, this entire ball tampering started because you wanted to rough one side of the ball up so that you could get reverse swing. Reverse swing is something that assists fast bowlers. This pitch, the fast bowlers have been quite, unproductive in that sense because it's helping the spinners. Majority of the wickets today, 8 out of 10 wickets that India picked was picked by spinners. You would not see a spinner using that kind of ointment to make the ball reverse swing. So it just defies logic, just defies what actually ball tampering is for. And Ravindra Jadeja doing it, it doesn't make sense.
Rahul, one quick question. The kind of ointment that we see Ravindra Jadeja rub on his index finger, do other countries, bowlers from other cricket playing nations also do the same? Is it very normal?
Well, for Ravindra Jadeja, it's not very normal. This is the reason. I've already mentioned it before, but what you are asking, yes, they do. In fact, finger spinners, especially the finger spinners, like Ravindra Jadeja is a finger spinner. Ravi Ashwin is a finger spinner. Akshar Patel is also a finger spinner. So what, over the years, they tend to have problems with their fingers. So this is the reason why they normally, at times, they do use these kind of ointments. But for Ravindra Jadeja, it was completely a case of soreness. He was feeling pain. And I'll just give you an example. Legendary Saqlain Mushtaq, by the time towards the end of his career, one of his fingers actually felt numb because he was bowling with that. He was using that finger so often over the years while playing cricket that it went numb after a point.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate both of you for joining us. And we didn't quite need to, but putting the record straight. But one thing, or setting the record straight there. But one thing again, we'd like to say all of this is a figment of the imagination of the Australian media. Till now, there is no official word coming in from the Australian team management at all, or any complaint thereof. So we're going to let it rest. The Australian media can have a field day while we have a field day on the pitch, which we did. Thank you.